Good morning, everyone. It's me, Rory Paddock, and as always, with John Arnold for Racing Daily. It's episode 5 of On the Nod. That means it's the last day of Royal Ascot, day 5. It's Saturday, and hopefully we can round off the meeting with another good day. So let's get stuck into it, John. The first race up at the 2:30 at the Chesham. I think you've got the Godolphin, the Ballydoyle pair. Look, the obvious options, but in a race like this, I'd rather look for an each-way option sort of to make the frame. I would have gone for humidity. I think winning an 18-runner maiden looks pretty impressive. Obviously, we don't know how good that form is, but it's safe to say of the 17 rivals, there'll be a few decent ones that come out of that. All that being said, um, it's the secret adversary that I might go with as some that might have some very good form. Second behind Ballydoyle, Hype Horse Italy looks some of the best sort of form on paper. I reckon a drop in trip will be the key. Looks far too big a price. It's double figure odds, I think it was, and hopefully can upset the apple cart again. Not an abundance of confidence, but I'll be happy with the secret adversary just as an each way play in the opener. What about you?
Yeah, you're right. You've got two big firms going against each other here, obviously with Milnets of Joy and Trenmore. I was very impressed by Trenmore at Newmarket. They paid €2 million for this Frankel colt, and it's about time this week that we had something from Godolphin in the younger races. So I think Trenmore is a win bet. And you mentioned humidity. I like humidity. It's a Wattenham Racing recruit with Balding and James Doyle. And the debut was very good at Newbury because out of that race, the 10 runners, 4 have won and 4 have been placed since that race. So I would go for Tremor to win and humidity each way.
Okay, that's the opening. That's the Chesham Stakes. Quickly moving on to the 305. We've got the Hardwick. I'll let you kick things off, John.
Yeah, so in the Hardwick, the horse that everyone will look towards here is Rebels Romance. Now, Rebels Romance won the Yorkshire Cup and also came third in the King George at the track last year. And this horse has been all around the world. You know, it's been to Germany, it's been to Dubai, it's been to Hong Kong. So it's used to going to different tracks. And I think Rebels Romance is a very solid horse. So for me, that's a win bet. The each way play is Table Talk. Table Talk came second behind Adon at Newbury when She Murphy won on Adon, and it was a very good quality race. And Ross O'Ryan's going to take that ride for Tom Clover. Tom Clover had a horse that came second the other day, didn't it, behind one of the Ballydoyle winners. So for me in the race, it's a win bet for Rebels Romance, and it's each way on Table Talk.
Well, I don't know whether I'm about to give it the kiss of death or hopefully it's great minds, but I'm with you when it comes to Rebels Romance. I think Palladium perhaps looks an interesting one, having sort of returned to the flat with John Gosden, former Derby winner. Uh, as obviously has a better chance with Ryan Moore butts in the saddle, but like you said, I think it's hard to look anywhere but the Godolphin horse looks way above its rivals in this. Maybe at a price Sunway could go well, if you're looking for an each way play, but I'll stick with Appleby's runner. I'm exactly the same as you. Rebels Romance should hopefully do the business in the 305. 340, Queen Elizabeth III Jubilee Stakes. The sort of the quartet that sort of stand out in terms of the betting or at the head of the betting, you've got Inish Sherin, Lazat, Satono Rev, and Stormboy, that they sort of fill the head of the market. I was really hoping that of those 4, I'd go, right, that one stands out head and shoulders above the rest. But the more and more I looked at it, I perhaps became a bit form blind. Couldn't decide between the 4. So whether or not this is absolute genius stroke or it's an absolute bit of stupidity, only time will tell. So I thought, right, let's look for something at a bigger price that can hopefully sort of upset the apple cart and perhaps dismantle some of those 4. And I'm going to go with elite status. Could find himself in the mix. Likely to have needed the run last time out. Will relish the firmer ground. Carlberg's started to hit a bit of form. Hopefully that one could go well. I think he's around 16 to 1. Elite status, but look, if anyone wanted any of those 4 that I previously mentioned, couldn't put anyone off them. They'd make any sort of shortlist. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, you talk about them 4. I mean, 2 of them 4 I've been keen on since we spoke last week as well when we did the previews. I still have a very good feeling about the Japanese runner, Satana Rev. It's got a jockey up there, Moreria, who's actually got form at the course as well before, so he knows the track. And it got beat by allegedly the best sprinter in the world in Hong Kong. So I think it's going to have a bold show. And from the home front, I mean, Enes Sheeran won the Duke of York last time. It's won at the meeting last year, and I think that with Buick riding the horse now for Ryan, for Kevin Ryan, I think Inisherin will also run a good race. So the 2 for me will be Satano Reeve and Inisherin.
Okay, that's the big sprint at 340. We're going to go move to the 420. We've got the Jersey Stakes. But I want to mention a horse that didn't deliver yesterday. We're talking John Quill. But I think the form of Saracen, who finished 3rd behind him and Rashabar, looks really decent form in. You'd probably argue this race is slightly weaker than the race that John Quill ended up running in, and Rashabar earlier in the meeting. Lightly raced, should come on leaps and bounds for a 3-year-old return. The race doesn't, like I said, the race doesn't look ridiculously strong, and I'm pretty convinced he'll go close. Perhaps, I'm going to say this out loud, knowing that the horse has drifted, and I'm going to give it a cause of death. So whether or not a leg's fallen off this morning, and I don't know, but possibly one of my strongest each way bets of the meeting. Yeah, again, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But yeah, we'll go with Saracen each way. Joseph O'Brien, I think he deserves to get one on the board. He's had his horses going quite well this week. Yeah, that'll be my shout in the Jersey Stakes. Just as an each way bet, not a big bet, but I'd be relatively confident it at least goes close.
Yeah, he has had a close week, hasn't he? He's had some real close ones, O'Brien, Joseph, that is, and he deserves something this week. For me, I mean, the Jersey Stakes was a race that I previewed for the editorials, and when you look at the runners that are coming from Ireland, Comanche Brave, Wootton Bassett Colt, which was 5th behind Field of Gold in the Irish Guineas, likes the ground. So I think that's a win bet at the price. But a bigger horse is a horse called Spy Chief, who runs for John Gosden, and Rab Havlin will take the ride. Now, Spy Chief is by Kingman, and it won at Yarmouth in a really easy fashion, and it will go up another furlong, and it's by Scirocco, so we know it will get further. And they really rate the horse, and the horse has got a lot of potential to improve. So for me, it's a Comanche Brave to win bet in the race, but the each way play for me is Spy Chief, and I think Spy Chief will maybe upset a few people here, and it's available at the moment about 14, 16 to 1.
Well, it'd be certainly a happy Saturday if that landed. The 5 o'clock, we've got the Wokingham, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be a bit of a downer here. I'm absolutely gutted. My sort of nap of the entire meeting, Symbol of Honour, is now a non-runner.
I saw that. Yeah, I remember you said yesterday about that. I thought, oh, he's going to be very gutted about
that. See, I was absolutely ready, getting the wallet open, ready to get absolutely stuck into him. It was about 8 to 1. I thought, yeah, no chance it's not making the placings. So looked last night and had a bit of a sad face on my look. So I'm trying not to sulk. He says, crossing his arms and getting in a huff. So I think the nearest horse that was going to come near to it would have been More Thunder. It's obviously been backed into favourite. I think that's the most likely winner, as boring as that sounds. And then obviously with it being like quite a lot of runners, obviously a big handicap. I think course specialists, we've got the likes of Jumbie and Vadream now on a decent mark. I think they're worthy each way bets. So yeah, More Thunder, my win, and then we've got Jumbie and Vadream as each way selections. Hopefully, that'll wipe away the tears of the Godolphin horse not running. So yourself in the big one there, the 5 o'clock, the handicap.
Yeah, it's a big field, and it's a case of where do you go with this, and you look at it. Now, two for me. The first one is called Completely Random. Funny enough, it's a good name for a horse in this race, isn't it? Completely Random, who runs for Harry Charlton. Now that's done well in two handicaps at Southwell and Leicester, where it's been held up and come from the back of the field. So I think that is a good shout in a race this big, where they'll split into groups, as we know from the rest of the week. And if it chooses the right group, it could come through at the end. Another horse as well for me is Holcombe Bay. Holcombe Bay was second last year in this race, and last time it was caught short of room when it ran last time, and there was plenty left in it. I think it was at Sandown where it got held up, and that's at the same price as Completely Random. And William Knight is the trainer for Holcombe Bay, and he's also got an apprentice claimer riding the horse today. So I would go with Completely Random and Holcombe Bay, both each way plays, in which will probably give you, I think there'll be 6 places in this race. So I think they're two good, decent outside chances.
Obviously, that's the Wokingham, the cavalry charge. I would say there's the Wokingham. The penultimate race of the day, and obviously the meeting, we've got the 5:35, the Golden Gate Stakes. Again, as you see with a lot of races at meetings like this, especially Ascot, it's such an open race. I couldn't side with the favourite. So as with many races this week, I'm going for horses perhaps at bigger odds, maybe representing a bit of value. Tycoon did well in the listed race last time out. That horse makes appeal for the Hannon team, especially now handicapping, and perhaps a bit boring, but again, you can't rule out a Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien, the combination. They've got Roosevelt, also catches the eye. Really disappointed on his handicap debut, but for some really odd reason, he decided to go down to 7 furlongs. Clearly didn't like it. Will relish going back up in trips a day. I just think that's, considering, jockey, owner, trainer, that looks overly priced. So again, small stakes each way play in the 5:35. Tycoon for Richard Hannon and Roosevelt there in the 5:35. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, I actually am going to go with the favourite because as one of the because only because Safra Gabriel, Ross Orion's going to ride it for Beckett. They did get on the board yesterday in the end with Amalok, and it will stay out the course, I believe, and it will get the trip. And it's also drawn on the outside on the round course. So that's something that's been very favourable when it comes to Ascot. If you're going over a longer trip, it pays to have an outside draw, and it's very similar to the horse I mentioned in the last race. It was checked in its last race where there was more left to give at the end. So I'm with the favourite to win, the Safra Gabriel. But the each way play for me is Glen to Glen, which is a Joseph O'Brien runner, and that was third to Serious Contender. And Serious Contender, as we know, ran a big race earlier in the week and came second for Joseph's dad. So I'm going to go Safra Gabriel to win and Glen to Glen each way.
Well, at least one of us is going to be right, mate. So, here's hoping. And then the final race, obviously the last race of the day, the last race of the entire meeting, the curtain closer. We've got the Queen Alexandra Stakes, 2 mile 5.5, I think it is. Willie Mullins, Ryan Moore have farmed this race for fun over the years. It'd be daft not to think they'll do the same. Sober, it's an odds-on favourite. You're not going to be breaking the bank if it wins. But it just looks the clear and obvious choice. I mean, Samui has been heavily backed. Obviously, that finished third in a race on the opening day. Gets Colin Keane on board, so it's going to certainly have a chance. If they had to go for one at an each way, like as an each way option, gun to my head, Tash Khan has enough class to compete at this level, but 265 days on the sidelines doesn't exactly spring confidence. I know it's boring, but it's the favourites to lose, really.
Yeah, they bought the horse for 115,000 euros. It had won over multiple distances for Andre Fabre in France. It went and won in Kilkenny, and it looks, the stamp of a horse to go and win the longest race of the flat season and the last race of the meeting. So, Sober to win is a win bet for Moore and Mullins, like we saw yesterday. The each way play for me is a horse called Trooper Bizd, which is being run by Sir Mark Prescott, and Luke Morris, his preferred jockey, is on that. Now, that's raced 5 times at over 2 miles, and last time it was only 2 lengths behind Manxman, and Manxman was entered earlier in the week when it went in the same race as East India Dock, and Manxman is one of the favourite horses for the Northumberland Plate. So I'm going to go with Sober to win and Trooper Bizd to come in a place.
Okay, so that's it. All 5 days completely done. Hopefully today we end on a bit of a high with our selections. As always, fingers crossed if you're following. Just on a side note, make sure you head on over to Racing Daily. All the team have obviously previewed the final 7 days just as we have. One of our fellow Racing Daily colleagues has said that their selection is their best bet of the entire festival, so I'll keep that stum. You'll have to go over to the website to see that. And I've done, as I do every Saturday, best of the rest. There's an absolute ton of horses away from Ascot that I like the look of today, so hopefully I'll land the spoils with a few of them. Again, any likes, comments, shares, thank you so much for watching, not just today, but over the last 5 days. We will be back soon, so make sure you stay tuned. And hopefully, we'll end up with a fair few winners this Saturday.